Hey, Next Level podcast listeners. This is your host, Kevin Kauffman, back with you. And today I've got an amazing guest, Frank. Frank, I don't want to butcher your last name, so do me a favor, buddy. Help me out.
Frank Klesitz.
Klesitz. It just rolls right off the tongue, man. I like that. Klesitz. I think I'm going to get that. I'm definitely going to get that eventually. So, Frank, hey, buddy, I just wanted to have you on. You and I got the chance to meet recently. You kept me up way past my bedtime, which is very uncommon for me. But it's because we were having such a great conversation about marketing and real estate and sort of all those things. I thought, man, I got to get this guy on the podcast because there's so much here more to learn from him. So welcome to the podcast. And let's start with, all right, so who is Frank? What is your business today? I got a lot of stuff I want to go backwards on, but tell us who you are and kind of what you do today.
Well, today we're coming up on our 10-year anniversary of Vyral Marketing. It's a company I started with one client after I graduated college, where I'm from in Omaha, Nebraska. And we have about 60 employees, all W-2 employees, that we essentially interview you on a webcam, much like you're doing with me now, to create some helpful educational tips, Q&A videos. And then we take them, we edit them, we optimize them, we email them out to your database, we put them online. I mean, we basically promote all this stuff online so people see you. And then we give you the names of the people that watch it. And we recommend you call them, or if you don't have time to call them, we have a call center now of calling assistants that will call the people that click the links and engage with your stuff to pass you leads.
I love that you just said we recommend that you call them. Like, that's a recommendation. It's a good idea.
Well,
right?
It would make sense. But after 10 years of saying that, we've given up and said, let's just build the call center. So that's what we do. That's my business. But actually, it goes back to the whole origin story was I was actually a personal fitness trainer, believe it or not, maybe like 70 pounds ago.
I could see. I saw your guns. I believe it.
Yeah, 70 years ago or 70 pounds ago in college. But, I was the way I got on my business when I was a trainer. Are you ready for this?
Oh, yeah.
There were all these expensive private schools in Omaha, a little Warren Buffett money. And I would go auction myself off at the oral auction during the fundraisers at the schools and the gala nights, saying to raise money for the school, I would give away free training. And that's how I got in front of like all of the rich people, essentially. That's what I would say then. Like all these people with really nice houses with like all these expensive schools are sending their kids to. But I was a trainer, and I got a lot of clients that way to go to their home and train them. At one point, at 20 years old, I sold a little over $250,000 of training. I had about 5 or 6 trainers working for me. I was billing 80 a session, paying the trainers 35 or 40 and taking the spread. And I really enjoyed the lead generation and the marketing and the sales of getting the client and less the actual training. And that's what I did when I was 21. Had my own little thing going on a billboard. I had a little radio ad going on. Like it was crazy. Then the recession hit and no one bought training anymore. This was about maybe 2008, right? And that all kind of dried up. And one of my clients was in real estate, and they said, Frank, you should sell real estate. I mean, you already know all these people in their houses in these areas. You should sell real estate. I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, how does that work? Well, let me give you an example. A 6% commission on $1 million home is $60,000. And you would get about half that. Like, what? I don't have to show up at 5 a.m. to work out with anybody?
Don't have to auction myself off.
I don't have to drive out to their home 40 times for a workout carrying weights. This sounds amazing.
Oh man.
So anyways, I go to it was actually Keller Williams' office at the time, and they, were kind of teaching a class on the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, and they were talking about the lead generation model. And, all my marketing was haven't mets, basically, in that language. I was basically just doing cold, like I still own OmahaPersonalTrainer.com.
That's awesome.
I still own it, and anyways, the whole MET model made a lot of sense to me. Oh, crap. God, if I would have built a database of all these leads, if I would have sent them videos, if I would have done something, my goodness, I could have had all these clients and maybe my business would have imploded, in the recession, because it was all cold lead generation, right? And this was kind of the question that changed my life. I asked the instructor. So I understand building the database. I get it. Door knocking, talking to homeowners. I understood lead generation. I also understood going on the appointment and signing people up because that's what I did in training. I understood that. But the question was, this 33 touch, what do I send them? And there wasn't an answer. It was like, well, here's all this junk mail was basically the answer. You send them junk mail, right? Here's your postcard with your junk on it. That sounded bad.
And how did you, not actually with your junk on it, because that would be super awkward.
Oh yeah, junk mail, right? So, so you send this stuff out, and I was like, I really didn't like this. Now, do you remember the flip camera back in the day? The flip camera?
Oh yeah.
Those just came out, and they were amazing. It was like $90, and I could press a big red button and record a video. I'm like, okay. Facebook was just opened to people outside of college. I was in college at the time. And I was like, oh, maybe I can start reaching people on Facebook because now it's more than college students that could be on it. I feel like I'm dating myself here, but it's not that long ago.
You're not that old. Shut up.
Okay. It's like when Facebook opened up beyond college students. I was like, what if I made some videos? What if I just answered some questions on the flip camera and put them on Facebook? And then do you think I can take a screenshot of the video and email it out? Do you think I could put a screenshot of the video on a postcard and direct mail it out? And I basically sat down and I wrote this giant checklist that if I just shot a video on a flip cam, what's the process of editing it, YouTube, keywords, blog, article, email, social media, yada, 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 right? And I would start doing that process. And as I'm getting my real estate license, one of the person I was going to go work for on her team who's been selling real estate for 30 years, I went to her and said, hey, I'm getting my real estate license. I also have this giant checklist of how I'm going to market myself. I said, Teresa, what are you doing to stay in touch with your database? I mean, my goodness, you've been selling real estate for 30 years. What are you doing to stay in touch? And guess what she said, Kevin?
Nothing.
Nothing. So I go, Teresa, I got this checklist. Can I maybe do it for you? So I got her on a video and sent out emails to her list, and she got business, and she was flipping out. And she was in a mastermind group, which I had no idea what the heck that was at the time. And she told everyone in her mastermind group about it and took me down to a training event where all of her friends in the mastermind group were. I went out to dinner with her, went to the nightclubs with her in Vegas, and all of her friends were like, oh my goodness, you're doing this stuff for her. Can you do it for me too? Huh.
And you're like any true entrepreneur, you went,
I kind of,
you had no idea how,
I just saw that there was a need that people need help staying in touch with their database. And they wanted maybe to do it where it wasn't either just canned stuff or junk mail. So there's plenty of people that will sell you that.
Right.
But I wanted to do something a little bit different.
What was it about wanting to do something different? Why did you want to do something different than what was, I guess, currently available?
Well, because I think what it originally came down to was I was very young. I was 22. Okay. And I wanted to go sell, and I knew this when I was selling training. I was 18 years old when I became a trainer at a health club. And I sold more training in the history of that club anywhere else. They actually sent me down to a Tom Hopkins conference in Phoenix at their own expense, which was pretty cool.
That's awesome, dude.
And yeah, they're like, wow, this guy's good. And I realized I had to position myself differently. And the way that I did that in the training world was all the trainers at the club, it would be like, okay, come in here for a free session. So what they would do is what all the trainers there, and these guys had more degrees than a protractor in fitness and education. All right. And they looked great. I didn't look that great. They would walk around the gym, talk to people at the gym, and they would offer them a free session. All right. And I'm like, well, I got to compete for clients. That strategy ain't going to work for me. Let's try something different. So I read some sales books and basically learned that you need to sit down and identify someone's needs before you sell them something. Poof. Okay. So instead of offering a free session, I would offer to write people a fitness plan.
I like that. So
follow me?
Yeah. So where did that idea come from?
Tom Hopkins.
That actually came from Tom Hopkins.
Yeah. He had a mnemonic called trust, need, help, and hurry, that you have to develop trust. You have to identify the need. You have to show how you can help them. And then you have to hurry them to a decision. Trust, need, help, and hurry. And I was like, man, all these trainers are jumping to help. They're skipping the trust and need. How about I double down the trust and need and I'll sell it? So what I did is I said, look, I'm not going to do a free session with you. Let's go sit down and grab a coffee. And I'm going to ask you lots of questions and write out a plan. And that may be very different. And actually, I was kind of ridiculed for not doing that with some of the existing trainers. Then I was like, okay, these guys, you know, I've always kind of like a heavier guy. I wasn't probably the best looking guy in there. I was very young. So me trying to walk up to somebody in the gym who's already working out, I wouldn't compete. So what I did is I went down to the general manager and I said, hey, run me a list of all the members in these zip codes, the most affluent zip codes that haven't been in the gym for 6 months, and give me the list. And the manager looks at me, who are you? No one asks for this. I don't know. Tom Hopkins. I mean, I'm reading these books, right? So she prints off a list of all the members in the club that haven't been there in 6 months, live in affluent zip codes. And I got on the phone. Hey, Bob, you belong to this gym. You haven't been here 6 months. What's wrong with you? You know, I don't know what I'm doing. You want to come in here? I'm a new trainer. I don't need clients. I'll work out with you. I'm going to come on in here. I'll write you a fitness plan. And people are like, yeah.
It's that accountability thing, right? Like you do that and they're
well,
like,
I showed up with enthusiasm. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing, but I think enthusiasm and excitement made up for all of it, you know?
What I love about what you just said you did, how old were you then? You were like 21, 22?
18.
Okay. So you were, but you narrowed in on who your focus was. Like you niched down. You got down.
I wanted to go after the
niche.
people with money. I wanted the executives that needed a workout and wanted that. So anyways, so here's the deal. So they would come in and I would write out a plan. I'd say, look, man, you want to lose 50 pounds? Like, I'll be real to you. You got to work out me 3 times a week for like 6 months. And I would, that's 3 times a week, $80 a session times 6 months. I would quote a package of like $5,000 and they would buy it. And I would take the client, walk them up to the counter, and they would throw down their American Express on $5,000. And the sales manager came up to me like, what, huh? And I would do it every day.
That's solid.
Every day. So they started, and then I got so booked with my own clients, I realized I made more money on the commission on selling the training than I did actually doing the training. So I specialized in the sales, and I was generating the clients for the other trainers.
Dude, that's so good. And so here you are today. So, okay, gosh, I have so many places I want to take this conversation, but I'm going to try to focus this in, since this is mostly like a real estate entrepreneurship.
I think there's a lesson there.
There's definitely a couple lessons there, I believe. You were like you literally started growing a mega team as a teenage trainer.
Yes, because I specialized in lead generation, lead conversion, which is a separate, as Gary says in the KW book, it's almost like a separate business to the actual deliverable.
It absolutely
I fell in love with that.
What happens with realtors, and you've now spent enough time around realtors, you know this, but what happens with realtors is we think that our job is to go sell real estate. And the problem is we wake up every day, we're actually unemployed, which means our job is to get employed. We need to find someone that will hire us to represent them to either buy or sell real estate. But we all think it's the technical stuff of being a realtor that our real job isn't. That's just on our real job.
I was the most unqualified trainer at that club.
But you sold the most, which is all that matters.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I got people the results. They didn't care. I mean, I told them I'm 18 years old. I don't think they were buying my knowledge. They were just buying the energy and enthusiasm.
Yeah. Well, I would say it was definitely your energy and enthusiasm, but I would also say you were really clear on who would probably buy it. Like I think of you and I had a conversation about copywriting, direct marketing, direct response marketing, stuff like that. I think about like the Gary Halbert story of if he could have anything to promote for his hamburger stands, he needs a hungry crowd, right? Or a starving crowd.
Yeah.
And it's about finding your starving crowd, no matter if you're selling training, real estate, if you're selling a newsletter service, a postcard service, no matter what it is, it's truthfully about that. And what I see and what I heard is you got really clear on who that starving crowd was. Yeah. And then you went to where they were, and no wonder you had such great results.
Yeah. And then just to take the story a little further, which is fun, while I was doing in-home training, is I would sell all this training and they would never come into the club. So I literally took the dumbbells that were in the club and drove to their house. And then here's where this is when the huge light bulb went up. I just have to share this because you asked me this story. I never get to tell it. So we're charging $80 a session, and the club took like 70% of the money.
Ouch.
All right. That's just how it works. But it was still good money for me because I was used to making minimum wage. So it's still good. I got 30%. But I would literally go drive out to their homes just so I can get paid for my sessions because they weren't coming into the gym and I need to make money. So I threw some dumbbells and kettlebells in the car and drove out to their house. And basically, and I would just be still working for the club as far as I was concerned. They didn't care. But then the guy was just like, well, I think I'm going to cancel my gym membership. You just want me to pay you directly. I'm like, can I do that? And then he busts out, the guy's in construction, so he has a safe of cash. Pulls out $5,000. Hands it to me. I'm like, okay.
And so that was your first foray into money laundering?
Yeah, that was, well,
kidding.
I kind of understand how the construction game works apparently, but
maybe we'll edit
people have safes of cash, right? But, I remember him giving me cash, and I was like, clearly all after-tax cash. That's why I was there.
Obviously, of
course. And, but that was cool, man. And that was when I realized the money is in generating the lead in the client and doing the marketing, and then somebody else doing the deliverable. And I kind of learned how to scale a professional service young. And I really fell in love with the advertising and marketing, and really fell in love with the database 33 touch concept, and just love the idea of attracting, not chasing.
Yeah.
Those concepts were very, strong to me. And that's where Vyral was born, where I was like, I think I could create an advertising agency where we specialize in marketing and sales and lead generation for people, specifically though, solving a very specific need, which is I need to stay in better touch with my database. And I need someone to help me, and I want to do it really well. And there's really no better way than just, creating a couple videos a month and having a writer basically write up what you say, and then getting it out through direct mail, email, and social media, which are your three main channels. And then once you publish this stuff out there, and it'll change how you do it. Maybe it's 2 holograms a month, Kevin, someday, right? Do your 2 holograms.
Tupac will show up at their house.
Yeah, it might not be email. It might be, it might be something else. Maybe it's, it's MySpace and Twitter and Instagram, whatever, man. That'll change. But the concepts of building a list, right? Asking permission to stay in touch of your target market and getting permission and contact information, and then sending them stuff consistently that's decent enough they're willing to pay for it, right?
Yep.
And then with all of the marketing surveillance, you basically have spy software now, what websites you're going to, where you're going on your phone, like what you're clicking on. It's the whole idea behind a lot of these CRMs is it'll track kind of who's engaging with your stuff, right? How long they watch the video. And there's like these big bright shining lights saying, hey, these people might be ready for a conversation based upon their behavior. You need someone to call them. And that's where we've always been teaching that for 10 years. You should call, but does anyone call, right? That's where the calling assistant upgrade that Vyral has comes in, where we do the calls for you.
Well, I love you actually have a real experience of what it's like to own a real estate team, even though you don't, because you have your own set of realtors, quite a few, and you've recognized like getting us to call can sometimes be a large task, if we could say it that way.
It is, but what's nice about the calls to the database, and I'll say this, I would consider there's 3 types of calls: outbound, inbound, and customer service.
Okay.
So outbound is going to be expireds, FSBOs, just listed, just sold. These are your rainmakers, these are your producers, these are your crazy people, these are your hunters, these are your high Ds that will cold call all the time. And I think Mike Ferry is a good guy that kind of owns that personality type.
Right.
That is attracted to that type of coaching and training. You make a lot of money that way. It's probably the most profitable way to probably run a real estate business that I've found. I mean, you don't really have any marketing expenses. You on the phone crushing mindset and skills doing that. Then you have inbound. This is more of like buyer lead generation, right? Or if you have the money, inbound seller lead generation, where it's like, you're doing inbound lead follow, very personal, 10 days of pain. You're still trying to convert the lead. But the intent's clear. These are people that are interested in buying or selling a home, and you're calling one type of person, inbound and outbound. But the third type of call, which no one in the industry has specialized in these calls yet, Kevin, is customer service. Who does those?
So it's funny. I had a mastermind yesterday. I got a little local group here in Phoenix that we meet with monthly.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the newer members, because he just moved to Phoenix, he's the brother of one of the current members. He worked for a builder. He ran a division for a builder, and he instituted basically the customer service call weekly to their clients, and it
Great.
just absolutely changed the game for them. And I remember him yesterday as he was sharing that, just his experience, what he had done with this builder company that he worked for prior to getting back into resale, and in the last like literally 2 weeks, it was phenomenal. And so I say all that to say it's funny. I've now heard that twice in the last less than 24 hours. So go on, Frank, hit me with some more
Yeah.
knowledge, my man.
Well, there's a trend there. I mean, so you're gonna. I mean, look. You know. You know. Calling. So okay. So calling the database.
Okay.
You get a smorgasbord of types of people. So outbound is pretty clear. I'm calling FSBO. Here's a FSBO script. You can stay focused on the FSBO. Expired. I can stay focused on the expired. Right. It's very kind of transactional call. Inbound too. It's a very transactional call, but it's you can stay focused on converting buyer leads. There's a same script that the call's very narrow call on the outbound. Database is a smorgasbord. I mean, you're calling clients, current listings, you're calling past clients, you're calling ex-girlfriends of the person that you don't even know you're accidentally calling, or boyfriends. Yep, it's happened.
Fact.
You're calling family, you're calling spouses, you're calling other agents. I mean, you're walking through a minefield of having to adjust constantly to these types of calls. I think that's one of the reasons why people don't like making those calls. But also for many people, here's the reason you don't call your database. Most people would rather be rejected by people they don't know than people they know.
True. I think that's dead on. And I would also like to say to the listeners, if you are not watching this on YouTube, you're going to want to go back about 10 seconds and watch Frank's dance that he just did as he was describing that, because, dude, that was phenomenal. You're officially the first dancer on the Kevin and Fred's Next Level podcast. And so I would just like to say, if I had a hat, it would be off to you. And
Thank you. I appreciate that.
That was phenomenal for you to deliver that sort of knowledge at the same time, dancing absolutely ridiculous. It was great.
Well, you have to communicate physically to get the message across.
I love it.
You know,
I love it.
but yeah, the database calls is you have to be. It's much more of a customer service. You don't really know what you're going into, and right now with our beta test group, just to give you an example of the contact rates, 26% contact rates. So about 1 in 4 of the people we call answer, which is awesome because you're calling the existing list.
Yeah, that's big. That's a
right?
big rate. Yeah.
And 1 in 9 people we speak to want to call back from the agent to talk about buying or selling a home. Those are the current numbers.
Wow. Okay, yeah. So that's running through your new test group, right? Of the callers.
Yeah, those are legit. There's no lies there. That's just straight up. I know the number of dials. It's pretty simple. How many people do we call? How many people answered? About 1 in 4. And of the people that answer, we run the script, which is something to the extent of, "Hey, this is Frank. I'm the executive assistant for Kevin, who I believe he sells real estate here in Phoenix. He just wanted me to call you and personally let you know that he has an event coming up. He wanted to invite you. I just want to make sure this is the best email address to send you your discount ticket to come to the upcoming whatever." Got it? By the way, while I have you on the phone, do you own or rent? Are you looking to move? Yada, yada, yada. And then finally, it's, would you like Kevin or somebody on his team to call you back about finding that house or getting your home sold? 1 in 9 say yes to that end of that question.
So if I'm doing my math in my head right, and this happens to be just about my favorite number, just about 3% of the people actually request a phone call back. So if I make 100 dials, I get 26 of them on the phone, and probably about 3 of them are going to say, "Yeah, Kevin, I'd like for Kevin to call me back."
Yeah.
That's pretty phenomenal. Most importantly, that's predictable. That means I know that if I need to have 3 conversations a month or 10 conversations a month or 30 conversations a month, now I know how many people I need to make sure I'm getting in front of, so that way we could make a phone call to them after they clicked on our thing, right?
And what's totally nice too is
reverse engineerable.
Yeah, you're being passed. They're a little more warm, so you don't have to prove yourself all the time. So when I actually send you these 3 people, like they kind of already know maybe who you are a little bit from your stuff, as opposed to like for 3 brand new people where it's like, well, I'm interviewing 5 other big people. Evan, why should I choose you? You'll get less of that from your list.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's, to me, that just speaks to the superpowers of video, which is it has this psychological effect that people don't, whether they're aware of it or not, most of them are not. When they see your mug, no matter if it's as pretty as yours or as, not so pretty like mine, it creates a psychological connection, because the human brain doesn't know if it's a computer screen, a phone screen, an iPad screen, or a movie screen. It really doesn't know. It starts to create a connection, just like people. It's like why people cry when celebrities die that they've never met in their whole life. It's because they've
Yeah.
built a relationship with them, because they have so much FaceTime and screen time with that person. And so when we can do that as a realtor, or really truthfully, any business, could be insurance, could be a restaurant business, doesn't matter. But when we put a face with it and then constantly put it in front of them on video, which is, I think, really the genius of what you're doing as well, besides the copy and the follow-up pieces, it creates something that the consumer just can't say no to, truthfully.
You said something really important there about time spent with somebody online. And that's the number one key performance metric. After 10 years of doing this, if you were to ask me, you know, what should I be paying attention to get results and people actually give me money, it certainly would not be views. It certainly would not be clicks. It would not be any of that. It would be, how long do people spend with you online? Because it could be a very small number that consume a lot, that are the ones that actually sign the listing contract on that $1 million home.
Yeah. Well, they're also the
No,
people that refer you too.
correct.
Okay, so this is where we get into like the hot pepper portion of this interview, Frank, because
Sure.
you have this lab of realtors, mostly very high performing realtors, to be
Yeah.
able to afford a service, right? To
Yeah.
help them do this, and plus this service helps them go get more business. So, what are some of the other lessons? Like, now you've run this company for 10 years, whether it be about us as realtors and how we behave,
Hmm.
some of the things that you see help us win, or about like that you just dropped that knowledge bomb about how much time they're spending with you online.
Yeah.
Like what are a couple other things that maybe one or two things that you think most of us aren't aware of, that you have noticed
Yeah.
looking into your little lab?
Yeah. I would say never lose focus on the number of people you or your team speak with a week. I think it's very easy to get caught up in a conversation about like super high end SEO. And that's great. Or super, like, how crazy can I make a video, or whatever, like, split testing 5 ways to a subject line in an email. Sure. But you can never lose sight of you or your team. How many people are we speaking with a week? It's like this iceberg that's there. So I can literally, if I were to ask that question to anyone, I could size up their income by that answer for the most part, given everything else. How many people do you or your team speak with a week? That's a huge insight. Now, there's a lot that goes into making that happen, which is getting in an environment where you're comfortable making calls. Some people, the rainmakers, can probably do it on their own, working from their spare bedroom, making their calls. That's a small percentage of people I found that can probably do that consistently, especially straight commission, that aren't employed. You have to get in an environment where you can consistently, every single day, every single week, talk to people, whether those are better people from a business standpoint that you bought through marketing, so they're a little more ready, or they're straight up cold through the white pages or just sold data. We have to talk to people. Most important thing. Now, the second takeaway is this: I'm setting up the foundation to the viral marketing answer here. And I think the best way for me to to uh, to explain this is to tell a story. There's a client of ours out in Myrtle Beach who has built a very successful real estate business in excess of $10 million in commission a year. For his whole life, he's been selling real estate. But he's at the point now where he's hired realtors that work for him on commission to basically do what he does all day long. He takes a piece of it.
Okay.
So I asked him, I said, hey, how many people a week, or in this case, let's say a day, how many people a day, Greg, do you and your team speak with a day about real estate? He says, well, the goal is 30. And do you guys hit that? He's like, well, my guys do. I'm on them every, I look, they're all making calls. They come in here all together. I got music going.
30 per person?
30 people a day per person. I'm like, well, how do you do that? Well, he has a call center. Everyone's at stand-up desks. He has music going. Everyone there is scripting and role playing. It's from 7 to 7:30.
It's amazing. I've seen video behind the scenes there. It's awesome what they do.
But it's an environment. So you have to understand there's a whole environment and a culture that drives this. But yeah, his agent's goal is to speak with 30 people a day. And if they all start at 8, he kind of knows, by 8:30, you should be at this. At 9, you should be at this. At 9:30, you should be, and they're all marking tallies by how many people they speak with at their desks. And he's walking around, right? So that will probably get the job done. But think about this. I said, does that mean you and your 30 people speak with 900 people a day? He's like, well, yeah. I'm like, wait a minute. This is done 5 days a week? Is that 4,500 people a week?
Tell me what business wouldn't grow with 4,500 contacts a week.
So I'm like, that's insane. And you started thinking then times 4, like, oh my God, that's like 16,000. So you go, okay, that needs to be talked about. So when someone like him or anyone's talking about how I run a Facebook ad. Oh, Facebook ads. Wait a minute. No. His office is speaking to 4,500 people a week. That's the iceberg we need to be kind of focused on here. Right?
That trumps any ad.
That trumps the shiny object, right? So with that being said, the next question is, what are we doing to incentivize? So, there's these sheets at every call station. At the top, it says, it's like 1 through 100. And every time you make a dial, you cross off 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can see how many dials you make. And it says contacts. Every time you actually speak with somebody, you check off your contacts. Then it has like how many leads you generated, how many nurtures, right? You circle those and everyone has this at their desk. But I said, man, we should really add to the bottom subscribers. How many people gave us their email address to stay in touch? I mean, I know the numbers. About 30% of the people you speak to will give you their email address. I mean, that's about 300 people a day that you and your team should be asking permission, getting permission from mostly a homeowner who they're calling, like a documented homeowner, getting their real email address over the phone and putting it into the database. So he made that one shift. He started incentivizing and saying, let's start tracking subscribers. Let's lead it. Let's chant about it. Let's manage it. Let's reward it. The whole culture side of it. And now he has over 100,000. This is years ago, but 100,000 documented sellers, permission-based sellers in his database that get his stuff. And what does that cost? Nothing. We could talk about getting the emails out and hiring a marketing assistant, but that's all secondary. If you hire a marketing assistant or you hire Vyral or you do all the marketing stuff, if you don't have the engine of the calls and the engine of getting the email addresses, all that stuff kind of falls down. Yeah. So if we can get our listeners to really think about how many people a week are we speaking with and holding that number accountable, even as unsexy as it is, and what can we do to incentivize and lead adding subscribers to the key performance indicators of dials, contacts, nurtures, appointments. The subscribers is the wealth building. We have to be building wealth as well as earning income. And we want to do both at the same time. Subscribers is the wealth building throughout the, kind of the contacts and appointments.
That makes sense. A buddy of mine, Cody, used to say, you can earn a commission by lead generation, but you'll build a business with your follow-up.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's slightly different, but it's the same. You guys meant the same thing in the conversation we were having. So, dude, that's awesome. What a huge lesson. Can I throw a few more like curveballs at you, buddy?
Sure, absolutely.
All right. So this is like the first thing I asked you about when we met in person, besides the fact that you are significantly bigger in person than you are on TV.
Like 6'5".
Yeah, you are like at least a foot taller in person than I anticipated. At any rate, you also do not own a cell phone.
Oh God. Yeah.
Dude, where the hell? It is 2000. You and I are recording this. Let's see, it's May 29th, 2019. Mm-hmm. This will get released sometime in June.
Yeah.
So it's the middle of 2019, and you own maybe tech company is maybe strong, but you own a marketing company.
I'm in digital.
You're in the digital
marketing.
world, right? And you don't own a.
And I hate all of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay.
I hate all of it.
Why don't you own a cell phone? And like, how long
Okay.
have you not
I
owned a
hate
cell phone?
social media. I'm an introvert at heart. You know, I like to read books. I have just a library of books. I like to lay around for 3 hours and just read. You know, that's naturally my natural state. All right. Now, what happened was about 4 years ago, I was getting married, and you know, I like to think I'm somewhat self aware, but this was my day. Okay, let me tell you my day. Now I'm now we service clients all over the country. So when I wake up in California where I live now, I'm 3 hours behind. And also, when you're at my stage of running a business, it's not like clients send you good news. You don't get good news doesn't filter up.
Right.
Just the bad stuff does. Like no one writes me email saying, "Oh, Frank, just thinking about you today. Just want to say a great job all your guys at Vyral are doing and how you're crushing it. Oh, we appreciate you so much." I don't get those. I get the other ones, right? So what I'm getting at is, you know, I would go to bed, probably reading my phone before bed, and I have my phone on my bed, which is my alarm clock. So I wake up, pick my phone up. What's the first thing you do? You turn the alarm off, then you take a slot machine. Here's a slot machine. Email. Boom. Bad news. Oh, what a great way to start the day, right? Then I would have the texts. So I had to check Facebook messages, my texts, phone calls, emails. Like, good God, right? Then, you know, I'd be getting ready for work and my phone's going and I'm not paying attention to anything else that's going on. And then I would work in downtown San Diego. So I'm on my phone, you know, basically like running into people as I'm on my phone, like barely getting hit by a train or a bus. Get to work. I'm standing in front of like two computer screens with my phone going, just like chaos of dings and pongs all day long. Go to lunch, still on my phone, right? Because I'm constantly answering things in real time. I'm a terrible manager. Everyone just can, oh, just text and email Frank and I'll have the answer, right? Get back, you know, walk home on the phone. I'm at dinner, you have the iPads out. Then like at night, it's just like literally my entire day. I was staring at a screen and my mind was racing and racing and racing. I would try to read a book. And I swear to God, I couldn't go more than 2 minutes without having to like go on my computer or like my focus was being pulled. I felt like all my creativity was going away. So one day my wife and son at the time were out of town. I flipped out, man. I was like, I can't live like this. So I called my friend up. I said, Scott, get a truck. You're taking my television, you're taking my PlayStation, you're taking my iPads. I want all my technology out of here. I cancel the internet. I cancel television. Like I was close to putting tinfoil around my condo, and I don't want any technology, none of it. I want it out of my life. He took it all. So Katie comes home. I'm like,
Dude.
Katie, I want to tell you how much I love you and how present I want to be. I canceled it all. It's all gone. I don't want any more in my life. I need to be away from it. So she was like, Frank, are you? I mean, literally, my friend came over, took like my 80-inch television. Like, I want you to understand, like, he walked, it was like someone was stealing all the stuff out of my condo.
Dude, I bet your neighbors thought like you were like rent-a-center, a repossession day.
Yeah,
They're
like it
like,
was
"Oh,
repossession day. Let's get out of
that
here.
guy's a loser.
Yeah.
That guy's a loser. He's
And I
just
was like,
out for
I
nothing."
felt so calm. I felt it was awesome. I was like, this is, and it was like going through withdrawals, man. It was like, you take that stuff away, and it was like, I literally felt I was going off heroin. I'm like, I shouldn't feel this way. This is ridiculous. You know, long story short, everything ends up creeping back into my life except the cell phone. And I haven't had one for 4 years. And then what that's forced me to do, here's the lesson from the story. It's forced me to become an exceptional manager. Now, I don't know if you were to ask my staff if I'm an exceptional manager, they'll laugh at you, but I think I am. And what I mean by that is if you look at my calendar, I have morning huddles every single day. I have scheduled meetings. People know that, you know, don't contact me, let it wait to the meeting. Um, it is, instead of constantly like, you know, like you're out and about, let's say you're at the mall, you check your phone, oh, some client's complaining, you know, I would first rationally like reply back and start yelling at everyone through the phone. Getting rid of your phone stops you from doing that. And it's allowed me to become much more self-aware, and it's slowed my mind down. And it's allowed me to plan and sit back and think, and it wasn't robbing me of the constant distraction. And to this date, after 4 years, I still have not met anybody that has been able to get rid of their cell phone. Now, I will say this. I am not in real estate, and I'm not working directly with a client that has this closing. I understand you may need the phone in those situations, but
Eh.
you don't need a smartphone. You can get a dumb phone for the phone calls.
Jason Abrams and I have discussed, and so has Fred. Actually, told him about it. Getting a light phone when the new version comes out in a few months, which is essentially an extension of your phone, but has no smartphone features. You can make phone
Yeah,
calls.
just phone calls, right?
Yep.
Just call me, right? But I will tell you, man, that's 4 years with that one, and it's been. I don't know. What I've just found is I've gotten my mind back.
The hardest part about this for me is like I want to send you something. I want to send you a podcast to listen to about like the awesomeness of being bored, and I don't know where the hell to send it, Frank. So like
You know,
it's
I
funny.
have a phone.
I was like, dude, what do you mean you don't
You
have a
could call.
like?
Hold
What do
on,
you
wait.
mean?
Let me show you what a phone looks like for those of you watching on YouTube. Hang
Is this
on.
like one of those cord things? That's so what? Where did you get that? Like at an antique store? Like I don't
I
understand.
use it's Magic Jack.
Magic Jack, awesome. I love it, dude. You've got all of the hacks. All right, dude. So this is like rapid fire right now because we got about 10 minutes left. I promised I wouldn't take more than an hour of your time.
Sure.
So one of the things I want to point out, this is more of just like a thank you to you, man, because I know I mentioned this to you, but I want to make sure that people understand the level of how you're running your business. So you and I kind of met, if you will. We came across each other's paths because your company, Vyral Marketing, agreed to come and do the live streaming of my event, Next Level Agents. I mean, it's not just mine, it's my Fred and Cody's, right? And afterwards, and you and I had never met, didn't know you for anybody. You sent me this box right here. And
cool.
in this box was 3 books.
3 books.
Utility by Jay Bear, super awesome. Why Smart Marketing is about help and not hype. I love that. Like, that's my deal. You asked me before why we started this, like, why do you do this? Because I believe in helping people first, and then good shit follows. Permission marketing. Seth Godin is a genius, and he's like Seth Godin is Seth Godin, right? He doesn't need an introduction. But this other one, this is the one that caught my eye when that guy's a smart motherfucker. This is the No BS Sales Success book in the New Economy by Dan Kennedy. And if you know marketing, if you studied marketing, you know Dan Kennedy. In fact, recently I've had a bunch of marketers on this, like Dean Jackson was on this week, and my buddy Luke, who is a postcard guy. I don't want to just call him a postcard guy. He's a direct response guy, but he's made 100+ million from postcards. We talked a lot about Dan Kennedy. And so when I saw that this was one of the books that was important to you, because you sent me a box to say, hey man, thanks for letting us be part of this event. And I felt, you know what's funny is I felt terrible for the year until you and I met a couple weeks ago. I'm like, why haven't I followed up with Frank? I'm such a dick. But however, it stuck though. You made this deposit, and the minute I saw you, I was like, I just wanted to hug you. I'm like, I know this guy. He's like my brother. And that is, I feel like if those of us who own businesses, real estate or otherwise, would take the same approach in what we do, throw out the video stuff, throw out all that stuff. But if we would just take this approach more often, books or not books, doesn't matter. But the thought process of doing this to help bring somebody in, like this does amazing. And it may not, it's like, it's not always right now, but eventually it's going to be right now. So like as Dean Jackson told me when we were recording, he said, I'm always looking for everyone is either now or not now. I'm looking for the people who say now. And eventually all the not nows will say now. So if I just keep making offers and I keep getting in front of people, well, this is what this did. This made it so I could never forget Frank. And so I just want to say hats off to you, because that to me was actually a lesson. Like I know that was a gift, and it was funny because 2 of those books I really wanted and I didn't own yet. And the other one is Seth Godin. So I would just read it anyways because it's Seth Godin and he's great. But this made me like elevate you in my mind, even though we had never had an interaction before. And so I just wanted to say thank you, because I took that as, number one, a nice gift, but more importantly, I actually took that as a great business lesson. So I want to say hats off.
Thanks.
Again, I should have worn my damn hat today. At any rate, so that I guess
I'm seeing Dan in Cleveland in 2 weeks.
I know, I'm so jealous, dude. I was telling my buddy Luke how you got the FedEx envelope and everything. Like I was so geeked up. I want your notes afterwards. By the way, I'll just come to San Diego and I'll buy you your food, whatever it is that you need, so you can tell me about this.
I'll have really good notes.
At any rate, so again, I wanted to say thank you for that. Also, thank you because Vyral has made it possible to live stream the Next Level Agents live event for the last 2 years in a row. And we'll be back again for 2020. And that means so much to us because a lot of folks travel. You know, we have over 400 people show up, and we're expecting closer to 900 to 1,000 in 2020. And yet not everybody will be able to make it in person. And you, dude, quite frankly, because you're a great marketer and a good person, probably a good person first, just said, hey, like, what can I do to be a utility? How can I provide value? Let me live stream this for you. And you call us a vendor and we'll do that. It's a great trade. Like we both get more than what it costs the other person, if you will, and what the money we can make. And more importantly, it's the relationship piece. So I want to say thank you on behalf of my partners from Next Level Agents as well.
Thanks, man.
Yep. So it means a lot to me. So I guess that was my portion. So my last question for you, Frank, and then I'm going to let you say whatever the hell you want after that is, so I steal this question from a guy named Dave Asprey, who has done a lot for me in my life.
I'm drinking bulletproof coffee right now.
All right. Yeah, me too. Right here. That's what this is, right? So I got cold today. So he always asks people at the end of the show, like, what are the 3 pieces of advice you give for kicking ass? So if someone comes to you, could be a friend, family member, could be a client, doesn't matter. And they just say, Frank, like, I want to have a better life, man. I want to have a better business, better life, whatever it is. Like, what are the top 3 pieces of advice you would give me to just kind of generally kick more ass?
And well, the first thing that comes through mind with there is that you have to get it done through people, and you can't do it all yourself. So what I'll give you 2 pieces of advice. First is I've committed, and one of the things that went through my mind when I sent you that box is I'll be doing this the rest of my life. Like, I know that what I'm doing right now, I'll be doing till I'm in the grave. Without question. So I have a very long-term mindset when I send things out that, this will eventually pay off at some point. I don't really care right now, right? So I went in my calendar. I said, okay, what are the meetings I can commit to the rest of my life? And for me, at 7:30 to 8 every single morning, I meet with my direct reports. I do a 30-minute morning huddle, which cuts down all the inter-office chatter all day long. Everyone just waits till the morning meeting. So the morning meeting at every 7:30 is the meeting rhythm every single morning with my team that I meet every single morning on Zoom. Then on top of that, every Thursday from 7:30 to noon, I meet with my team, my direct reports. From 7:30 to noon, it's 5 hours. Take a little break in between. But that's where we sit down and just relax and slow down and like think about, okay, how do we improve things for next week? And we go through Trello. We write checklists. We write procedures. We say, how can we make that better? What can we do before the webinar? What can we do after the webinar? What can we do before the event? How do we make it better? How do we make it better? How do we improve? And we update the checklist. And Frank, I have a question on how to design a landing page. Can you show me? Hey, Frank, I have in-depth training. I guess that's probably what I would say is 5 hours a week on training and improvement and focus time on your people, where you have your morning huddles, which is kind of like the rhythm of getting everything done. That has been, those 2 things right there for me have been very game changing. Now the third is you have to hire people. You have to get people. And what I've learned and what I've found is the whole hiring process that everyone has, I hate. So let me tell you what I do here at Vyral.
Me too.
So what we do is we run ads all the time for an apprenticeship, where it's like, look, if you want to learn how to market, you can come work for an Inc. 5000 awarded advertising agency and learn how to actually do marketing for people. And we'll train you up from scratch. No college degree required. Start part-time. We'll pay you an entry-level wage. We pay minimum wage to start. All right. And we'll train you up, and we have a path for you to make like an account manager, we have a path for you to move up throughout the firm. All right. So basically every single month we do a career night, and I'm running ads on the job boards, and every single day applicants come in, and I have somebody that works 2 hours a day in the Philippines. That's my executive assistant that calls all the people that apply on the job board saying, hey, Frank wanted me to call you. He's so excited that you applied. We're excited for this position. Can you come to an informal meet and greet in the next week or 2 at our office? So every single month we put 20 or 30 people into the room that are interested basically in learning marketing. So they're really coming in for a job, but it's a part-time minimum wage job. They have other gigs to pay their bills. They want to learn the skill. That's what's key, right?
Yes. Oh, keep going.
Very key.
Sorry.
So now I have hungry people. I have people that want to way up. I have people that want to way out. I don't need your college degree. I want people with the character traits of the energy, the drive, and the curiosity, the discipline of the character traits to succeed. So now I say, okay, guys, great. Here's the deal. Here's the pay. I explain all the positions on the team. I explain how everything works. And I pass around index cards saying, which position do you think is going to best fit you? And they write down the index card. Well, I think I want to go this direction or that direction. Great. Then after the career night, I say, send in a video, go to use Loom or any one of these video services and send a video about why you want the job. So now I have all these videos of all of these people that are know the pay, minimum wage, 10, 15 hours a week, great. So what we do is we hire people in groups. So I'll hire I would much rather hire 4 people for 10 hours a week than 1 person for 40 hours a week.
Yes.
Because it hedges your bets. And what happens is leaders identify themselves in groups. And if you study the best professional firms in the world, if you study the leading accounting firms, Ernst and Young, whatever, you study like Bain, McKinsey, Boston Consulting Group, you study these big consulting firms, they are always looking for leaders. And the only way that you're able to identify a leader, and the military will say the same thing, is leaders identify themselves in groups. So you have to hire the group. And if 1 or 2 people aren't a fit, at least you now have 2 left. You don't have to start the whole process over again. So the third thing is monthly career nights, repositioning your job as an apprenticeship. So you attract very learning-based talent. Part-time, so you can pay them less because you're training them, because they probably have another day gig working retail or food service or whatever it is that they got to do to pay bills. But you give them a path to grow. And one of the things that we've been doing for real estate agents is what I recommend to real estate professionals is stop hiring existing agents. Go fish for very motivated people. Start them at $7.25 an hour, whatever the minimum wage laws are in your state. 10 hours a week on calls. Put them through BUDS training like Navy SEALs. 8 weeks on calls. That's your physical training before you start. You want to do all the fun stuff. I live in Coronado. The SEALs train down the street, right? And put them on the phones, and then you start training people up from scratch. And do you want to be a buyer's agent, listing agent? Do you want to go into transaction manager, whatever it is? You have this path to move people up. That when I was taught that changed my life.
Dude, that was solid. Listen, guys, if you're listening to this or watching this, rewind and listen to that again, because Frank was speaking better than you were listening. Promise you. I was sitting there taking down notes, and I'm like, screw it. I just got to have this thing transcribed, and then I'm gonna take the notes, and I'm gonna re-listen to it while I'm reading my notes and my transcription, because that was solid. You just gave me quite literally 3 or 4 different ideas in the last 5 minutes that I can go implement today and do this.
Yeah, I don't have a people problem. Everyone's like, I have a people problem. No, dude, I have an abundance of talent. I don't know what to do with it.
I actually can tell by the people who work around you and work with you that
those guys that came to that event,
they love you.
They started part-time, minimum wage.
They love you too.
Yeah,
like they're all in on Frank and Vyral. I can tell you that right now. Every person I've interacted with that is part of your company, like they seem so damn geeked up, and I think that's
you're gonna get a loyalty factor when you train them up too. Yeah. And that's where they all started. And you start in a group, part-time minimum wage, you get trained up, and you get that loyalty factor. But you as the leader now have to say, okay, I need to do my morning huddles. Yeah. I now need to spend 5 hours with them. It's going to force you to become a better leader and manager. And then you sell to that, where it's like, look, you can go over there and go make more money, but you're just going to be, a cubicle junkie, just grinding out your job. Over here, I have a vision for you. I'm going to pay you less, but I'm going to put you in control of your income, and I'm going to train you up.
Yeah.
There's a segment of the employment market that's going to take the ladder.
There is, and it's a smaller, and we could go on for an hour or two. But
we do another podcast on hiring.
We're going to need to, clearly. But one of the things I've noticed in my experience, my last, I guess, almost basically 12 years now in real estate, is that for those of us who will get out of the way and have a great hiring process, we still screw it up when they show up. Like, we don't have that process for training them and empowering them and committing to the daily huddles and to the weekly.
And notice I said that first.
Yeah, because that's
before
Because if you
The
don't do
hiring
that,
process.
it screws up the hiring. Like you could hire an all-star and you'll screw it up. So you can miss the best one ever. So dude, I just want to say thank you for your time. Is there anything else that you want to say to our listeners? Where can people find you? Like, so
good.
how do you spell Vyral?
So go check out, just Google Vyral Marketing, VYRAL Marketing. It's all there. Or our website is GetVyral, GetVyral.com. You can go to the homepage and download the official video marketing plan. So if you do have that pain and you want a plan to better stay in touch with your database, get more people to call you and position you as the expert, you want to use videos and all that sounds great, download the plan on the homepage. We have examples, the calling assistant. I have example calls there. I have the metrics there. It's literally the pricing. It's all on the website. And then when you want to talk to us, my sales team is not on commission. So our sales team does not get commission, and we only have a 4-day work week at Vyral. We take Wednesdays off. I still pay everybody. So it's a 4-day work week.
You're the Shane Co. of marketing companies.
But we'll do a strategy call with you and talk about what this would look like. If you want to hire us, you can, and there's a 30-day money back option. So,
dude, that is solid, guys. If you got anything out of this, and you did, if you have a pulse, or if you were paying attention, then do yourself a favor and reach out. You can learn so much from Frank and his team. So I would highly recommend it. Anybody who listens, we've done 70, 80 of these shows. I've never once said, go check somebody is out. I can tell you right now, from the moment I met Frank, the guy has just been giving. And that is always a big green light for me. So Frank, I just wanted to say thank you so much on behalf of
thanks for having me.
The Next Level Podcast, our listeners and our viewers. And I'm excited to do a webinar soon inside of the Facebook group, Next Level Agents, with you.
Cool. Thanks, Kevin.
All right, y'all. We'll talk to you guys next week. And thanks again to Frank for being our guest today.